The year is 1999. The Pentagon is in chaos. Someone is inside their computer system, reading classified emails, stealing passwords, intercepting military communications in real time. Defense officials are panicking. This has to be Russia, China, a team of elite hackers working for a foreign government. The FBI launches a manhunt. Hundreds of agents, millions of dollars. The biggest cybercrime investigation in US history. When they finally trace the signal, it leads to a house in Miami, Florida. They surround it. SWAT team ready, expecting a sophisticated criminal operation. They kick down the door and find a 15-year-old kid in basketball shorts, eating Doritos. No team, no training. Just a kid who taught himself to code because he thought it was cool. From his bedroom, with a computer his parents bought him for Christmas, this teenager hacked NASA, the Pentagon, and the Department of Defense. He shut down NASA for 21 days, cost them $1.7 million, stole the source code for the International Space Station's life support systems. This is crime and climb. The story of the kid who proved the Pentagon's security was a joke and paid for it with his life. Jonathan James is born in a working-class neighborhood in Miami, Florida. Nothing special, normal family, normal childhood. Except Jonathan isn't interested in normal kid stuff. At age 10, he gets his first computer. While other kids are playing outside, Jonathan is teaching himself to code. HTML, C++, assembly language. By 13, he's found the hacker forums, places on the early internet where people share techniques, exploits, security flaws. Jonathan picks the username C0MRaid. Soviet style, he thinks it's cool. And he's good. Really good. But here's the thing about Jonathan. He's not trying to steal credit cards or make money. He's just curious. He wants to see if he can break into systems. It's a game to him. At 15, Jonathan is bored with small-time hacks, school networks, local businesses. Too easy. So he asks himself a question that will change his life. Can I hack NASA? Most people would laugh at that. NASA? The space agency? Impossible. Jonathan decides to find out. And what he discovers is shocking. NASA's security is a joke. October 1999. Jonathan is sitting in his bedroom, dial-up internet. A computer his parents bought him. He finds a vulnerability in NASA's computer network. A back door, a way in that nobody's guarding. And he walks right through it. Once inside, Jonathan installs a sniffer, a program that captures everything happening on the network. Usernames, passwords, emails, files being transferred. For weeks, Jonathan is inside NASA's system, watching, learning, downloading. He steals software. Over 3,000 lines of code worth $1.7 million. Programs that control life support systems on the International Space Station. The code that keeps astronauts alive. NASA notices something's wrong. Files are missing. Systems are acting strange. They shut down their entire network for 3 weeks to investigate and rebuild security. Cost to NASA? Millions of dollars. Thousands of employees locked out of their systems. And Jonathan? He's in his bedroom thinking, that was cool. What's next? Next is the Pentagon. Jonathan hacks into the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, part of the Department of Defense. He's now intercepting military emails in real time, classified communications, usernames and passwords of Pentagon employees. He's not looking for nuclear launch codes or anything dramatic. He's just looking, curious about what's in there. But to the government, this is a national security crisis. Someone is inside the Pentagon's system, and they have no idea who. The FBI's Computer Crime Division gets involved. They start tracing the intrusions, following digital footprints. It takes months. They're expecting a professional operation, maybe even a foreign government. The trail leads to Miami, Florida, to a residential neighborhood. January 2000. FBI and Secret Service agents surround Jonathan's house. They're ready for anything, armed. Tactical gear. They execute the search warrant. And there he is, Jonathan James, 15 years old, sitting at his computer, looking terrified. The agents are confused. This kid? This is who hacked the Pentagon. They seize his computers. Dozens of hard drives. Evidence everywhere. Jonathan doesn't deny it. He tells them everything. How he did it. Why he did it. His answer: I wanted to see if I could. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. The FBI doesn't care about his intentions. They care about the damage. NASA, $1.7 million in losses. Pentagon, national security breach. Defense systems, compromised. Someone has to pay. And Jonathan James is going to be the example. September 2000. Jonathan James is sentenced. 6 months in prison. Probation until age 18. Banned from recreational computer use. At 16 years old, Jonathan becomes the first juvenile in American history sent to prison for cybercrime. The government's message is clear. Hack us, and we'll destroy you, even if you're just a kid. Jonathan serves his time, gets out, tries to move on. But the FBI never stops watching him. And that's when the story takes its darkest turn. 7 years after Jonathan's conviction, a massive data breach hits TJX Companies, the parent company of stores like TJ Maxx and Marshalls. Over 94 million credit card numbers stolen. One of the biggest retail hacks in history. The FBI starts investigating. And guess whose name comes up? Jonathan James. He's been out of prison for years. He's trying to live a normal life. Working. Staying out of trouble. But the FBI thinks he's involved. They have no solid evidence. Just suspicion. May 2008. FBI agents raid Jonathan's home. Again. They seize his computers. Again. They tell him he's a suspect in the TJX breach. He's looking at 20 years in federal prison. Jonathan insists he's innocent. He had nothing to do with TJX. He's been clean since his release. But nobody believes him. He's a convicted hacker. Of course he did it. Jonathan hires lawyers, prepares to fight. But he knows how this ends. He's been through the system before. He knows the government doesn't care about innocence. They care about closing cases. And Jonathan James is an easy target. June 18th, 2008. Jonathan is at home in Florida. He writes a suicide note. It reads, I have no faith in the justice system. Perhaps my actions today and this letter will send a stronger message to the public. Either way, I have lost control over this situation, and this is my only way to regain control. Jonathan James shoots himself. He's 25 years old. The FBI later arrests other hackers for the TJX breach. Jonathan wasn't involved. He was innocent, and he died knowing nobody would believe him. So what's the lesson here? Jonathan James wasn't a terrorist. He wasn't a foreign spy. He was a curious kid who wanted to see if he could hack NASA. And he did. From his bedroom, at 15 years old, he proved that the Pentagon's security was worthless. The government made him pay for it. 6 months in prison at 16. Then, 8 years later, accused of a crime he didn't commit. Rather than face a system he didn't trust, Jonathan James took his own life. He was 25. He became the first teenager sent to prison for cybercrime in American history. And at 25, he became a cautionary tale about what happens when curiosity meets a system that doesn't forgive. That's the price of being the example. If you want more stories about people who climbed too high and paid the price, subscribe. Next week, the man who stole $500 million in art and vanished. The paintings have never been found. See you then.